Okay, we got infinite time, I guess, because I recently removed one of my games, and I think I got like 30 to 40 gigabytes of storage to Yap. And this one, I'm gonna go on what I call the thing about privacy, because um, after writing cyber sovereignty thesis and basically predicting the legal implications of where we are in the world and everything happening with very fancy words and being right about it. It's like I still don't understand why. I do understand from the power imbalance of the whole thing that okay, privacy is kind of a power dynamic that the one who hides the most has the most kind of leverage. I do understand that, but I don't understand is that how this has become internalized factor of fear, because I know people who don't have any money, who don't have any reputation, they don't have anything, and yet they hide things that in 50 years is not gonna be weaponized against them. Like someone goes on a game and is flat broke and doesn't have any fucking reputation. And as far as I know, they don't have fucking child porn or any kind of shady bullshit in their lives either. And unless they're hiding it quite well, and they're like super sensitive about kind of the privacy page of a game. Yes, let's say the game hacks your whole entire life. What's it gonna get? Nothing. Or the eavesdropping phenomena that we have, that so many people don't consent to a couple of like apps or applications or whatever, and they're worried about their privacy of being kind of heard by very malicious individuals. And I say, okay, bruh, like your whole life is gonna cost people more to pry into rather than give them anything back. The same thing goes with morality. Like, why would I give a fuck about someone else's life when I cannot actually afford to? Morality is the kind of luxury that people who have the basics of life covered, the stability, the not worried about their expenses part and all of that, and then you start to have these worries about who you are and who you align with. And morality is just kind of immortal framework that people externalize their sense of self, because the moral person is eternal, the immortal aspect of your life, because you die, your name dies 10 or 5 years or 5 minutes after you. There is still the gap between your death and your name's death, and good or bad, you're still alive, you still breathe. As they say, a person dies two times. One day with their flesh, and the next with their actual name being forgotten. For some people, it's 5 years. For some people, it's 5 minutes. For some people, it's 50, 500 years. But there are two problems with being mortal and mm, dying as a name, because even when you're alive, I guess there are some people in the Bahamas who don't know who the fuck Trump is. 1 billion people on the planet, if the AI shit is right in its evaluation, that 1 billion in any language are illiterate. So someone in the fucking Africa is gonna know who the fuck Trump is? No. So basically, let's say for 8 billion and 8 billion people, I think the population is 8 billion point one now. 8 billion people know who Trump is, which is literally less than that, but okay. For 1 billion, for the 0.1 billion people, Trump doesn't exist. So his presence is actually objectively not absolute, but air and any kind of fabric of reality exists equally for everyone. So what I mean is that morality is the denser part of kind of presence, because let's say your country 250 years, 2000 years, 10,000 years, whatever, these concepts outside yourself exist and they extend your existence by association. So when people want to do the right thing, is not right thing for itself, is this subconscious belonging to that idea, to identify with that idea, because that idea is gonna be more alive than you. You are gonna be alive 70 to 100 years and then die, but your country is alive in a kind of collective consciousness representation, an ideology, traditions, culture, whatever, for 500 years, thousands of years. So by association, your subconscious is literally clawing that idea and that concept to extend itself. That's the core reality behind belonging, because other than that, the other thing is the utility of it. If you identify yourself with people belonging to a specific kind of ideology or conceptual kind of presence, you can use and exploit those demographics. And this could be intentional, conscious, and or this could be unintentional and subconscious. But what it means is that in itself, there is nothing in loving a country, loving an ethnicity, loving anything, because at the end of the day, everyone dies, and yeah, genius, but everyone dies and everyone wants to be present somehow. And specifically going forward with this exposure to the hierarchy of quality of how people make it to death through social media, that you can see, okay, someone was a barista at 20 and at 70 he's the president of some random country. So you identify that, okay, this person, because of his political power and institutional positioning, is gonna have maybe 10 to 20 years more aliveness in the history of a country or something. So he's gonna live more after his death. And this internalizes this subconscious behavior, subconscious belief that you need to identify with something even more robust than that. And that's the whole social behavior of picking sides. And I started realizing this recently, that why do I need to worship someone else's world and framework? Like, I've always was bothered by learning the names that and being invited into worlds that wasn't mine. As a writer, it rubbed me the wrong way that why would I learn every single fucking Pokemon's name and live inside the rules of someone else when I can literally build my own fucking fictional world and live inside it? And when elaborate enough and when fucking enticing enough, others are gonna be invited into my world and learn the vocabulary I fucking invented. And that's the part that fascinates me, that why learn to obey a religion, why learn to be kind of loyal to people, to an ideology, without having built that ideology yourself, the religion yourself, whatever the fuck. Because in the continuation of this novelty of architect architecture of thought and cognition, you're actually doing what perpetual presence in a sense is, that you're contributing, you're inventing a newer religion, you're inventing a new way of thinking that itself could perpetuate and persist through time and space more than your association to a cheaper copy, because a cheaper copy is just some fucking person invented this and you just fucking follow this. And I have no fucking respect for people who have the power and actual institutional positioning that are still perpetuating the same fucking world. Like, that's the same thing with privacy as well. Like, privacy is a very niche morality stance on power imbalance that is used for a specific kind of purposes. Now people are just crazy about privacy because it has lost its original meaning. It's every kind of human behavior is tied to power, and this obsession with power goes back to the fear of mortality, and everything is just designed to extend your existence. And the funny thing about the whole thing is that most people just take something which had a purpose. The purpose is gonna be sidelined, and the thing itself is gonna be highlighted. This has happened to me time and time again in my life, that I see rules that are actually against the main philosophy of the rule itself. Something that is supposed to facilitate integration into a system becomes itself the hurdle and obstacle preventing integration into that system. Something that is supposed to present individualism is now the system through which individualism is the least kind of present priority for that system. Even like Instagram was supposed to be about your feelings your memory and your trajectory of life and your kind of paper trail of memories, and now is becoming a fucking marketing device because that's when the form jumps and rushes ahead of the purpose and the content it is supposed to be holding. And the whole thing about privacy itself is that privacy was the distribution of power imbalance. So when the purpose of privacy as a concept was the distribution of power to benefit some people, and now it's literally moving to be a sacred concept on its own, people who don't have any power, people who don't have any kind of risk to be exposed to some kind of machinery or whatever, these people are still reliant on privacy as a concept, as a ritual, because they just think this is the thing that everyone needs to do. And it's just so fascinating to me that I'm not that smart. It's just so obvious that I'm bothered that why all people, all important people in this sphere and every other aspect of most things are just so fucking retarded and incapable of understanding and seeing the common trajectory of so many things. Like last year, when I predicted the trajectory of cyber law and cyber sovereignty going in the direction of risk-based assessment and density-based hierarchy of privacy, as well as this control-based sovereignty that I proposed, it was just a obvious thing, because it's literally like when there was no mapping, how did empires rule without mapping, without literally outwards delimitation of their sovereign rule? The same thing is happening in cyberspace. There is no borders. And I just don't fucking understand how not obvious this is to people. And it took them like 1 year to even implement the basic of that kind of understanding, after decades of trying to shoehorn the fucking physical reality onto a borderless space, which is like beyond me. And these days, the same thing is happening with privacy. Everyone wants more privacy without actually wanting the power that privacy is supposed to protect. So you want, and this is the fascinating part to me, that people want privacy to protect the little power they have, which is literally out of the equation that the privacy as a concept was supposed to protect anyways. But what happens is that this itself has become the kind of mechanism that keeps people powerless, because they're more preoccupied with saving the little power they have rather than actually trying to extend it and improve the fucking power they have. Which is like so funny to me that there's a quote, or there's some saying that a kind of a writer says, that he literally says, this is kind of cheeky, but I'm starting to understand the sentiment. A writer once said that it's a disappointment for the country as a whole that I'm its best writer. So this is literally the double blade. One is actual self-acclaimed being the best writer in the country, which could be arrogance, and it could be like dismissing to most people because it's just a claim, and it's a subjective claim when it comes to writing as well, because some people say, okay, the depth of thought, which itself is subjective, um, to the great extent, is marker of a writer. Some people say no, it's influence and impact, and that itself cannot be understood because maybe some writing and some framework of thought is so ahead of its age that it takes 500 years to understand and have that impact. You can write something, and in 500 years, someone is gonna use that and have impact. The same thing happened with Marx, the same thing happened with Nietzsche, the same thing happened with everyone. So this is the other thing. And the whole thing is that I just don't know. The other thing of this shit is that he said this is a disappointment. So it's cheeky because it softens the landing of the claim, but it actually doesn't diminish it. It actually amplifies it. That mental kind of gymnastics aside, it is disappointing that a 26 years old, then 25 years old, saw something actually so fucking obvious that took the people in position with 20, 30 years of experience in that exact kind of niche with their abundance of coffee fueled days, fucking lists of and lines of ass kissers to their ego, all of that get nowhere because they were just that kind of retarded. And I don't mean retarded is a relative concept, because you can have one person be, it's literally like changing a light bulb. If the task is to change the light bulb, if every mechanic, every whatever, every kind of construction worker in the city is unable to change the fucking light bulb, changing a light bulb is not a fucking kind of difficult task. These people are just fucking incompetent. And based on at least how I fucking see it, when it is clear as day that digital space is in nature same as when there was no mapping in the world, the same dynamics apply. And this is literally just so fucking insanely obvious. The other thing is my cry-side framework, that when everything is becoming narrative and narration, and kind of every verb is being fought in media, and media can literally replicate truth and invent new lines of narrations that wasn't even there before, and it's gonna be structurally coherent because of AI's systematic kind of way of pattern matching. Of course, literally deleting the rightful and the truthful narration and systematically removing and silencing voices is gonna be the main deriving factor of the next couple of fucking 10, 50, 100 years. and we're gonna have systematic suppression of these kind of grievances in the coming years. And this is obvious that we're moving from gunning people down to shutting them up with internet blockouts, with systematic kind of toxicity formed as kind of openness of mind. All of these fucking things are gonna happen, and this is just the most obvious framework to name it. And what I see is that people see this and say, oh, a 26 years old just had a cool word. That's it. And I just don't understand, like, even literally now, with Iran's 35 days of internet disconnection, that literally means the whole narrative inside the country is the narration of a sole kind of speaker. This still is not a fucking international crime, because going back to the privacy thing, those in power understand how powerful this is, and they just want to use it. And those who don't understand it, this is an alien concept to them. So the funny thing how the world works now, if Chriside is understood by 5 people in power who themselves are using it, it would get institutionalized. And then by being institutionalized, it's gonna have the following and backing of the majority, because the majority are just fucking retards. And the vice versa works as well. The same thing that happened with the YouTube and Meta suing case, that some piece of shit made it viral enough to have a social kind of pressure behind it. So it's still a power imbalance being balanced through not quality of the powerful, but quantity of the powerless, compounding into resemblance of something to make the powerful sweat a bit. And the whole framework is that some piece of shit went to this campaign and started making kind of noise, and these retarded people understood, and just kept pushing this with numbers. So Chriside, if people were actually blessed with one fucking brain cell on top of what the monkey brain actually tells them to do, would not only promote this every single fucking day, it would compound to the level of instead of free Gaza or premium Gaza or fucking super premium Gaza or free Iran or fucking lone Iran or whatever the fuck, you would structurally support something that is actually fucking gonna make that fucking happen. But no, people want to make their in-game name Free Gaza to be associated with a concept that's gonna make them feel good about themselves while doing nothing. And supporting and promoting a concept or a framework which is alien to themselves is not that, because that's not trending. And this is what's happening in the world, that eventually this attention economy is gonna accumulate into so many drastic other realities than the actual lived reality, that people are gonna be suffocated by this kind of bullshit everyone is right, but everyone is right if everyone else says so. The reality is that if the mass majority of people were to do anything, from making empires to making any change in historical concept and context, everyone would be a fucking genius. Everyone would be a fucking genius running after making improvement in their field of expertise, but no. Everyone is just a fucking retard, and one or two people who, by accident of genetics and whatever the fuck, pop out and stand out. It threatens the existence of these people, and their mediocrity stands out. Because mediocrity doesn't stand out when it's surrounded by mediocrity celebrated as excellence. Go to LinkedIn and see all of these mediocre people with not an original line of thought celebrating each other as fucking geniuses. That feels good. That feels comfortable because you're seeing another clowns calling you a king and you feel like a king because when you see around yourself, everyone is the same clown that you are. But when someone enters the room with a crown on their fucking head, you are more exposed to yourself about your status as a fucking clown. And of course, the clowns gang up to get the crown. And what this all means is that unless either AI actually fucking makes people sick of this bullshit, if you have 1 million likes, you're the prophet of truth bullshit going away because of the whole fucking performance of bullshit going away, or it's gonna be someone like me, hopefully me, rather than some piece of shit I don't actually agree with, slowly going up the ranks in the institutions and inside the whole fucking system and dismantling it from within, because everyone else running it is just like so fucking incompetent and mediocre at it that it actually fucking pisses me off. That if this is the greatest of fucking humanity, where the fuck is humanity even headed to? Imagine I'm reading the lives of kind of Aristotle or fucking Plato or fucking Socrates and whatever, and the further down the line become, the lives get less and less and less interesting. I read on fucking Nietzsche and I'm literally fucking suffocated because this motherfucker couldn't land a fucking pussy and he went and killed a god. The discrepancy of identity and the lived reality and the actual fucking frameworks these fuckers are literally fucking famous for and historical for, it's just a fucking joke. When you read on Socrates or fucking Plato or whoever the fuck was, you see no discrepancy between who the fuck they were and who the fuck they represented themselves as and how the fuck their lives was. But the further down the line you come and you see people seeing and witnessing excellence and trying to cosplay excellence, they just shit on the whole fucking board. That a piece of shit like fucking Kafka internalizes shame and is being canonized for it. Imagine to promotes collective belittlement internally as fucking art. This is like fucking beyond me. How you can perform not only being crushed by other stupid people, but also you yourself internalize this fucking shame and this fucking belittlement and turn it into fucking what's called art. Imagine. And now the whole thing with fucking privacy or any other fucking concept that structurally is tied to another thing, that the thing representing the thing is not doing the thing it was supposed to be doing the thing for. Yeah.